Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Jason Robbins.
I'd gone to elementary school in Roseville, and when I was in 6th grade, I ran a business with my brother Daniel and my friend Steven. And I say business, but it was more of a racket than a business. It was a surprisingly lucrative coat carnival. So, in the springtime, my brother and I would be told that we have to wear our jackets to school, even if we were hot. We have to have these jackets. And so when recess came, we were getting kind of hot, and so we took the jackets off, but we were still wearing them. We went to go tie them around our waist, so we weren't breaking any rules. So we had taken the jackets off, and as we were doing so, we came up with this idea with our friend where we would stretch out the jackets, and he would lean back into them, and then we would like slingshot Steven forward with our jackets. So some other kids were on the playground and saw this spectacle unfold, and they too wanted to partake in the fun. So they would come over to us and ask if we could slingshot them as well. And we decided we were going to call this thing a ride. And then, and at that point they were like, oh, how much does it cost to ride the ride? So we didn't even have plans to monetize this, but the marketing clearly was there. So we decided, okay, 10 cents per slingshot. And so we would have these kids line up, and they'd pay us to fling them across the playground, the grass there, and then we started getting this lineup who were then asking, are there more rides? So, luckily for the three of us, we had been doing improv for about 2 years at that point, and so we were able to just come up with the name of a ride and what it might do based on that name with our coats. And so we did have the slingshots, that was one. We also had the loop-de-loop, and in that one, we would fling the coat behind the person back around their head and hit their legs and knock them down. And then we also had we had the clothesline, where we would tie both jacket sleeves together and run at them and knock them down. And yeah, so we would have these kids would get back up, get back in line, and pay us to knock them down again and again. And this was years before the craze was popularized by hit 90s band Chumbawamba. And so we birthed the Coat Carnival. That was a thing that we ended up doing. And you may be asking, if you were using jackets, why was it called the Coat Carnival? And I suppose, looking back on it, we could have called it something like the Jacket Racket. But we know people like alliteration, and as 11, 12-year-old marketing geniuses, we decided that we were going to call this the Coat Carnival. And you also may be wondering, did I take this business and marketing further? Was that another part of my life? And to answer that question, let's fast forward 4 years to when I was in 10th grade, and we received the schedule, the class list for the following year. And when we were selecting our classes, my Algebra 2 teacher, Mr. Perkins, found it necessary to get everyone he could to take trigonometry. So he made a whole day out of going through each student in his classes and telling them why they need to take trig by asking them what career path they want to follow in the future. And then he would find a reason as to why they needed to take trig. So he's going through everybody, and he gets to Jeff, who's sitting in front of me, and he's like, "Oh, Jeff, what do you want to do with your future?" And Jeff tells him he wants to be a football player. And Mr. Perkins is like, "Oh, well, you want to get into a good school, play on a good team, you're going to need trigonometry to do that." And so even a football player was needing to take trig. So then he gets to me and he asks, "So, Jason, what do you want to do with your future?" "I want to be an actor." "Arthur, what do you want to do with your future?" I was the only person he didn't even try to convince to take trig. And I didn't. In 11th grade, I ended up taking physics, which played to my strengths a lot better anyway, but not in the way you would expect. So my physics teacher, his name was Mr. Chef, and he was a huge, giant nerd, the geekiest teacher I've ever had, so we got along great. We had so much in common, we talked a lot about just all our nerdy interests, and one day, he assigned a set of vector problems out of the book, and he calls me up to his desk, and in typical nerd fashion, he was a huge fan of role-playing games. So he asks if I had started playing this new RPG series that had come out called Pokemon. Of course I was playing it. So I'm very excited and telling him how much I love the game and everything. And so then he asks if I can catch him a Taurus and a Kangaskhan. And he hands me his Game Boy. And I tell him, I'm like, "But I have this vector assignment that I need to get done." And so he tells me not to worry about it, just catching the monsters. So I take his Game Boy back to the desk, and I do it, I'm successful. I walk back up to the desk, his Game now has a Taurus and a Kangaskhan, and I just watch him put an A in the grade book for the vector assignment that I couldn't do. And you may be thinking, "Oh, you didn't learn what you needed to in physics." And you would be right. In my college physics class, that was the only class where I didn't get an A, and there were even problems about roller coasters and other rides. So I do not design carnival rides or amusement rides of any kind. And I'm also pretty good at competitive Pokemon.